Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache from NacheSnow.com. Welcome. Okay, so who do I have on today? I have on Julie and Anna, and they are two of the three women that are responsible for creating and running Unni's Closet. Super excited to have them on today and tell their story about how their love for thrifting has now turned into a business. They pop up at one of the local markets in DC, the Eastern Market, and then other markets around the city, and they have become a sensation, if I must say so myself, because I think they have a really good eye for finding vintage clothing that appeal to a younger generation. And so, yeah, this ain't your grandma's closet. This is your sister's closet, cool and hip. And they will get into that a little bit later, because in the episode, we talk about just thrifting in general, how they got into it. We also talk about like the mindset that they have when they're thrifting and a few tips that they also use. Also, we talk about the origin story of Unni's Closet. We get into like inventory and how they grew organically and all that good stuff, like some pain points that they've worked through. They're very forthcoming and generous with the beginnings of this new business that they all just started, and I really enjoy talking to them, and I think you guys will also be inspired by their story and maybe even start thrifting yourself if you don't thrift already. Okay, so a couple of housekeeping items, my friends. So first of all, sharing is caring, my friends, on all the places, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, whatever your social media choice is. And if you remember, please tag me in it. I love seeing those. And of course, if you love this episode, please go over to Apple Podcasts and rate Studio 78 Podcast 5 stars, my friends. That's how people discover me, and it goes a long way. So appreciate it to everyone who's already done that. If you're on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up. And wherever you're listening, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, you name it, please subscribe so you don't miss another episode. I still have a lot of good interviews to go before I end this season, so you don't want to miss it, my friends. Okay, so anything that they mentioned in this episode will be on the show notes, the link. So you could go over to NacheSnow.com/166 in order to get those links, all right? So without further ado, let's get to it. Hello, Julie and Anna. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Hello,
I feel welcome.
hello. So I've just done this wonderful introduction for you guys, and so the audience can't wait to hear your story. But before we get into what you're doing now, can you guys just tell us a little bit about yourself? I'll start with you, Anna.
Thank you. My name's Anna. I think the most random thing I can say is that I work in IT consulting. So that's nice and fun and quite different from our side hustle that we're going to talk about. Probably DMV, been in the DMV for almost 10 years, I think 9 years now, from New York, New Jersey. And yeah, just we like to keep a party going. And I think one of the things that I am cursed with is that I like to keep busy, whatever it is. I'm sure we'll get into it, but that's me.
How about you, Julie?
Hi, I'm Julie Che. I'm a graphic designer. I moved to DMV maybe 7-8 years ago. I'm losing track. From New Jersey, New York, like Anna. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Before we get into Unni's Closet, were there any like other side hustles that you guys tried before you guys connected and got together to start this business?
I could start. So, like Anna said, I also do like keeping myself busy in, I guess, creative ways. Sometimes my full-time job can't fully fill the hole, as I can say, like creatively. And especially like when I'm searching for some kind of like message I want to put out in the world. So that all being said, I started Untitled, and that was a clothing company. A lot of t-shirts, actually it was just t-shirts now that I think about it. But yeah, it was basically, the message was to bring more Korean literature into fashion. I feel like within the Asian context of graphics in fashion, there's a lot of Japanese, there's a lot of Chinese, but I never really saw Korean literature on fashion. So I wanted to bring like more of like a updated look to the typography and make it cool and accessible, and also just represent the Asian Americans through street style.
Yeah. And then, for that, for someone else is like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, how did you even start? Did you use like Printify? Did you do your own designs? Did you pay someone to
Mhm.
do your designs? If you could talk to like the listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I would, because I'm a graphic designer, I used my own programs like Illustrator to create the graphics. And then I actually went through custom ink, which was
Mm.
very limiting, but it was the most accessible at the moment, especially because I'm only printing a very small quantity, just being conscious about how much money I'm also putting into my passion projects. But yeah, it was very limiting in the styles that I wanted or the type of printing technique that I wanted. The last project or season, I guess, was I actually worked with them pretty like one on one to create a reflective print on the
Mm.
t-shirts. So I think that was definitely a little different, but it was still limited because they were only using one type of reflective ink versus like
Oh.
maybe if I went through a more smaller printing company that can be more catering towards what I wanted to put out. But yeah, it was accessible and good pricing for the time. So I think that's why I went through customing.
Now, what did you decide to do? Because, of course, Printify came to mind because it's on demand. Maybe because I'm
Mhm.
lazy. So I'm like, oh, you just order through the website and it gets
Yeah,
sent to you.
yeah,
Versus
yeah.
Custom Ink, if I remember,
Mhm.
they actually print 50 or whatever t-shirts and then it's incumbent on you, right, to then
Right.
ship it out. So what made you go that route versus on demand?
Yeah, so I think at the time, on demand was not something that I was aware of. That being said, once it started being more popular, I started looking into it. Personally, I think I just didn't love that I did not have control over like
Mm.
the branding and the packaging
Yeah.
because although I was only selling like 50 t-shirts probably to more of my friends and family, I still wanted to be an experience and have a hand in every single, like even the tags. I asked my friend Sarah to sew it in for me, even the
Mm.
packaging. Like I'm sure like Anna at some point came over to my house and helped me pack. Like it was like
Hmm.
a really community thing. So I can't really say it was just my brand because it touched so many people's hands around me. But yeah, no, I think just the control of it, and that might just be like an ego thing or like a preference thing. But yeah, I remember I just didn't love that once I send it off, it's like kind of towards like on their hands to control the brand identity.
It's all about experience. It's like
Mhm.
the experience, right? Because that's what
Right.
keeps people coming back. I remember I used to do laser cutting and then I have this special craft box and I did like calligraphy on the top, right? But then it was
Hmm.
funny at the time, people on Etsy, I feel like they were commenting even more on the boxes.
Packaging, yeah.
But it's like people want an experience, right?
Yes, yes,
And then so for
exactly.
you, Anna, did you have any like side hustles that you started before
No,
this current business? This was
no.
this like the first. That's because Julie had you working hard.
Right, right. I was like, oh, I can see what's gonna be like to work with Jules. So, yeah, yeah. No, I think nothing for me. I stayed busy finding fulfillment outside of work with like just volunteering. I think that's kind of what I
Mm.
focused on for a while, and
Mm.
I think I've always been blessed with a job that had gave me enough funds, so it was never like out of necessity for more funds. I think I was looking for kind of satisfaction in other ways, but yeah, it all goes to show that you don't need any experience to start a side hustle at all.
That is so true. And so how did you guys connect as far as starting this current business? Because like Julie, you're selling clothes, selling t-shirts, mailing them off. Did you decide to pivot or add this as a second side hustle? And then like, how did you guys connect and then start that hustle?
I mean, I don't know how much was told here, but we are besties. Julie and I are best friends, so not too much on the connection wasn't that difficult. But I think the Untitled stuff was definitely pre-pandemic. I can't remember how long before pandemic, but I think there was kind of this, it seemed very common goal to kind of start something new. I feel like, was it last year? Joel, what year are we in? I guess 2022. Yeah, where I feel like a lot of people everywhere were kind of just starting new things. So maybe we were caught in that same wave. But yeah, I think we were just talking to each other. Julie and I have been thrifting ourselves for I don't know how many years already now for our own enjoyment. And we grew up in immigrant families that would thrift for their own kind of needs and enjoyment when we were younger, so it's not too new of an activity for us. But I think probably this time last year we were just like, oh, why hasn't the cool like Brooklyn style thrift store popped up in DC yet? Why are we not seeing that? Besides kind of like, we have some chain ones where you can get your Brooks Brothers blue button down at maybe, but nothing more unique or colorful, or even I think a little bit more trendier if you want to go that route. So yeah, I think one day we're just like, should we just pop up at Eastern Market I think we were like, let's just find out what the fee is. And the fee wasn't high, and they don't really have any requirements really. It's really easy for someone to just kind of go for it. And so we went for it, and it's been a ride ever since. Yeah.
And so what did that look like? So you guys, and when you say you've been thrifting for years, is this like since you're like your teens? Did you start like maybe in your 20s? Are you lifelong thrifters, or is it something you got into maybe in the last 4 years or so?
So for me, actually, my dad, I would say, influenced me a lot in thrifting or like garage sales. I remember every Sunday after church, my dad would just drive around the neighborhood and we would go to the open garage sales, and he would give me $1, and that dollar was
Cute.
so powerful as a kid because the amount of toys that you can get with $1 was just endless. And I don't know, it just opened up so many worlds. So yeah, after being exposed to that, I feel like I became more of an avid thrifter during college. Especially because I wanted to be cute but did not have money. So it was definitely like a financial thing. And I went to art school, so everyone wanted to be as chic and like cute as possible.
Right.
But thrifting, I mean, you get the good quality clothes for an affordable price, and it's unique. So the flex comes when it's, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, I thrifted this. It's one of a kind. So it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you buy the same jacket that I have, but sorry, not sorry.
Right. Can't get it.
Yeah, I cannot get it.
No, I think my mom and my aunt, we were not in this rich town, but there was a Goodwill growing up in this super rich town in Jersey, and I remember they would go thrift like just really high end brands from there. And I'm like, oh, so you would there in my mind, I think until college, post college, like Julie, I thought it was like just high end. You're gonna go there to find like your Prada and my mom. I remember was obsessed with Eileen Fisher for some reason, and that's like the only reason why I know that brand. But yeah, I think I came to college in Maryland, and I do remember thrifting Halloween costumes. That's always easy to thrift,
Yes.
And then it wasn't, I think, for me until post college, so like 23 to 25, when I was like, oh, there's like cute stuff. Thrift store, like you just have to put in some work and work out your shoulders to find them. So yeah, it's definitely been quite some time. Definitely not only the past couple years, but definitely the past couple years it's gone up. And people are talking about it a lot now.
They are.
Like, the young kids are talking about it a lot, and we get messages all the time of people trying to have a thrifted only closet and things like that. So it's definitely different than when I think we grew up.
Oh yeah.
Question for you guys, and like Julia's gonna laugh at this because she kind of knows how I am a little bit.
Okay.
But it always kind of freaks me out that someone else
Yeah.
And so, like, how do you guys get past it? Is there, like, a special way that you go about cleaning stuff? I know this might seem like a weird question, but Julie, you
No.
know how I am,
I know.
That's funny.
She has
I
her
don't
valid
think
reasons.
for sure. And some people just don't. It's not, it's not for them. I think the immigrant raised person in me is just. I just don't think about it. I'm just like, oh yeah.
Interesting.
I think
Yeah.
also like I always had my older cousins' clothes handed down to me, and then there was always like a trading of clothes, and not too big on these are mine, and then that is someone else's. So I think to me, I don't. It doesn't bother me. I mean, clearly it doesn't bother me. Yeah. I mean, you just put it through a wash, and you're like, all right, God, you clean these clothes off for me spiritually, and you ownership here, and that's just
New
how we
ownership.
go.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I guess because I was exposed to it at such a young age, like clearly to me, it's like a toy was a toy. It wasn't like, oh, I wonder which kid was using this toy. So maybe because of the exposure as an like early on, to me, like Anna, it just doesn't, yeah, I guess I just don't think about it. Like I do feel like sometimes our customers would be like, oh, I wonder what the story is, which I'm like, I think
Yeah.
that's a very romantic way of seeing like, oh, this object has been passed through like maybe multiple people, generations, what have you. So yeah, I think it's like it's not for everyone, but it's just up to how you see it.
No, that makes sense. I feel like I could do furniture. I feel like clothes is it would have to be like an amazing something. And I'm 6'1" too, so another reason why I don't thrift as much is because normally there's not enough 6'1" women out there donating clothes for me to pick up.
For sure.
But
Right.
I have donated clothes, so hopefully I've helped someone else out. That's
helping
so
other
funny.
tall queens out there.
But for you guys, how do you spot that right thing? Like, for example, I remember back in the day, and even to this day, like if I go, number one, when I go into places like Nordstrom Rack, I kind of get a little panicked because like everything isn't manicured and organized. But my mom could go in there and she will find 4 or 5 amazing pieces, like boom, 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 right? And I'm like, how'd you find that? And then I'm like in there sifting, and maybe I'll come out with one. So there is kind of like this art to finding good pieces. And so for you guys, like, what does that look like?
I think I'm the same. Like you, if I go into kind of a non-thrift, like a department store or something like that, I think there's just so much in there, and I was always kind of discouraged that I wouldn't find something for me, or maybe stylistically I liked it, but it doesn't fit me, my body right. I feel like the thrift store actually releases me from that because it's so broad on the styles and the items that you're gonna get, and it's so random. Whereas if you go to Nordstrom Rack, it's like still like what's trendy right now, like what they know is kind of gonna sell. So stylistically, it's a smaller kind of portion, I think, of kind of just all clothes that you could possibly find. Like in the thrift store, you have something from your mama, something from your grandmother, something from your auntie, and just all these different styles in one place in different sizes. So I'd probably say, I don't know, I think I would find more things for myself in the thrift store because it's so random. If that makes any sense at all.
And I guess when you go in there, and probably because you've been doing it for a while, I guess did your eye just kind of naturally drift to different pieces, knowing because you know your style? And so you're just like, oh, that, making something up, red blazer, I think that looks, let me check this out, Because I think sometimes like people will go in places, like, because I've gone to thrift stores with friends even around the area, and sometimes they struggle with trying to like find pieces, and I'm like, is it because maybe they haven't defined their style, or they just don't have an eye yet for like quickly identifying pieces that might be interesting?
Yeah, I feel like for me, maybe it's because the difference in expectation when I walk into a thrift store and I walk into a retail store, because when I walk in, of course I have that certain items that like I'm maybe looking for, like a leather jacket or like a midi skirt. But I feel like when I let's for example go to Madewell and I try on a skirt, like I feel like I expect it to fit a certain way or be a certain style, where when I go to thrift stores it's like kind of open-minded and I'm just like willing to try on different things, and sometimes things that I don't think are going to fit me, and I think it's just like the lowered expectation in a way, or like open-mindedness of that. So yeah, maybe that's the difference. And it's
Yeah.
cheaper, obviously, so you're
Right.
more willing to like give it a try, and you're
For
like,
sure.
oh, well, it was like $5, so let me, you know, if I don't like it, I'll
Yeah.
give it to Anna or like Fiona. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's hard. Finding your style is hard. And I
Yeah.
think the thrift store might make it easier because it is cheaper and you have such a breadth of random stuff.
Yeah.
You'll find both new stuff and old stuff and different colors and things like that. So I think for me to answer your question, is it easier? Do our eyes go towards things? I don't think so. I think we're still kind of spending as much time going through the racks, right? Because it's like every day, every week, there's something new in there. But I think once we pick something up, you know, before where you're like, oh, I don't like jeans, for example. Jeans are like really hard, right? It's like a really hard item to shop for, like to, you know, size your hips, your waist, your legs, whatever. In the thrift store, you'll find just like jeans from everywhere instead of you just going to one specific retail store to find their jeans. So it's almost harder, but to me it's like less work because you're technically in one place and you can just go down the rack and see if you can find it. But now, before in the beginning, I think probably both Julie and I would find a jean, wonder if it's going to fit us, and blah, blah, blah. And the pandemic in the beginning, the fitting rooms weren't back, and I think in a lot of stores the fitting rooms are still not back.
Yeah.
So, but now I think at least for myself, I have a little trick with my fingers, and I can tell if a jean is going to like fit my waist, fit my butt, you know, like all these things. So that gets easier. I think knowing what your body is going to look like in certain pieces gets easier. But I think that also just comes with shopping more and learning how to style yourself more. Julie is much more gifted at that than I am, so I had to learn the hard way for all those non-natural styled people out here. And I think the thrift store did help and is helping. I'm not sure that I can define mine even yet, but I think because it's cheaper and the styles offered are much more diverse, you can kind of experiment here and there with different colors, and as if you went to a retail store. And prices now are absurd.
They're high, because I was going to say that it's low risk, right? You know, maybe if you go to whatever mall, Tyson's Mall, Pentagon Mall, or at least around in the DC area, you might end up paying $150 for jeans. And you might see the same brand of jeans, I would imagine, at a thrift shop. And they're like $20, right? Or $30 or what have you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just finding it is the new issue.
So curious. So Julie, you have like this business, you're selling t-shirts. And so did you go to Anna and be like, like how did it, because you guys have been thrifting for a while, right? So what made you guys decide to like join forces and turn it into a pop-up shop?
The last thing actually that I remember, I was trying to keep Untitled going, and then I started looking into maybe upcycling old used clothes or secondhand clothes to merge into Untitled. And I think I was just toying with the idea, and then I was actually at Anna's apartment, and then we were just talking, and then it was just like all of a sudden, like, why isn't there anything like this? Anna mentioned before, like, we just don't see a lot of thrift flea markets or pop-up shops that have really cute, affordable clothes for the younger generation or our generation. I feel like the demand is getting like higher, especially because the taboo of using used clothes is definitely way less than it was before. So there was an opportunity. DC is there's definitely a community of vendors that sell secondhand clothes, but also one thing that I realized is that they're very like male focused. So it's a lot of printed vintage t-shirts, jackets, things like that, but not really towards like our target audience, which I think we can safely say it's 20 to 30 women, female. We do have male customers, but yeah, I think there was a hole in the market. We are always down to collaborate. Anna and I, we try to share crafts. She's trying to get me to crochet, or we've done collaging. Like, we used to live together, so we know that it works. Like, this relationship works. So yeah, I think we were just talking and we're like, oh, let's just try it out. So it was very easy transition from, oh, I'm thinking about this, but then we're just keep talking and we're like, oh, let's do it. Like, see a hole, let's present it and see what happens.
But it's interesting, Anna, because you said at the beginning, really, as far as side hustles, you're like, I really don't need it. And it sounds like, too, probably you had hobbies that you were into. And so that was fulfilling, especially the nights and weekends. So what made you say, you know what, I might go in and do this with Julie? Because it's almost like having a job on top of a job, especially when you start something out. So it's a bit of a commitment. And some people are driven because they're like, oh, I need this creative itch after work. And like you said before, like, oh, I want to maybe save up money, right? Like for a car or whatever, or pay off debt. And so that they have that drive for those reasons. But for you, what made you say, okay, Julie, this might be something I'll try with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were just kind of almost just testing it out. I don't think when we first did, I think our first market, we were just like, okay, let's see. Are we just trying to serve ourselves? Like, we think we're like kind of the person that we are, just a lot of us exist in the city, or maybe there's none of us that want this, you know? So it was more kind of experimental, and I don't think we thought, or at least I didn't think too much of it. I guess it wasn't like, oh, we have so much to lose. And also it was like the pandemic, I feel like, was just ending and people were just opening up to do stuff. So I was eager to do stuff. I was like, all right, let's do it. Like, all right, like this weekend, what do you want to do? You know? So I think Julie and I have had shared that kind of energy throughout our friendship of just trying new things and keeping ourselves amused to some degree with smaller hobbies and larger hobbies. And yeah, and I think ultimately we trusted each other with, I know Julie has a great work ethic and we're different in a lot of ways, and I think we knew that going in, so that also helps. And yeah, I knew that we would work fine together. And like I said, the first time we were just like, let's just see. We didn't have anything to lose, and it was just for fun. We were like, let's just have some fun.
So when you all did that first market, did you all pull clothes that you had thrifted, or did you have to make an effort like, okay, we've signed up for the market on the 15th, let's hit a bunch of stores in the area and then just have what we think is enough, right? Because you're experimenting. What did that look like?
I think like 2 racks, right, Jules? It was like, we didn't have a lot of racks.
We had a whole tent.
We had a tent, but I think we only had like 2 racks, 2 clothing racks in the tent.
Yes, you're correct. We had 2 racks, but then we had wooden dowels all around the tent because we didn't want to purchase racks if we were just testing the water. So we got creative.
Yeah, we did.
Aesthetically, it was really cute.
It was cute.
Will I say it was functional? Probably not. No. Because once it started sliding,
when people
getting too heavy,
wooden dowels would just not be as cute as we thought it would be.
No.
I feel like there was maybe 2-3 months before we actually popped up. We're like, okay, we're gonna do this. Is a pop-up date. Because I remember when we would visit our families or friends in New York, or I remember like you and I talked about, oh yeah, I stopped by this thrift store and like we would share information. So yeah, I feel like there was like a slow rush, if that makes sense, in collecting clothes. And whenever we would go thrift for ourselves, we would be like, okay, this doesn't fit me, but I know someone's gonna buy this. So then we would like slowly start collecting this. And one thing I would like to mention is that my house, and I'm sure Anna could attest to this, my house was crazy. I could not open my door because all the clothing items were just stacked. Yes, we did not have storage at the time.
No.
So it just basically, I was living in a storage space.
Yeah, and we spent our own money. We got creative with the dowel hanging situation. We went to Home Depot. I don't think it was too much. And yeah, I think we were just like, let's just put in 50 bucks each, $75 each and clothes and just see how it goes, you know?
Oh wow, that was like,
Um,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
So
And
it's not like
like,
$1,000, right?
no,
Investment or
No.
anything.
yeah, we were like, let's just put in enough that where we feel comfortable. Like if we just lose it all, we'll be okay.
Right.
You know, at least we tried. But then that coincided, I think, Julie, was that the Cherry Blossom Festival weekend? I think our first pop-up weekend, or one of the first ones, if not the first, it was like the first or the second, was coincided with the Cherry Blossom Festival in DC. So we popped up at Eastern Market and it was crazy.
Oh, I can
And
only
so,
imagine, especially if the weather was great.
yes, it was really nice. And one of our good vendor friends, Corey from Whitco Vintage, shout out to him, he told us later on, he said, oh, I remember that weekend because it was crazy that weekend and it's not usually like that. And we didn't know that. We were just like, oh, is this what every single weekend is going to be like? Crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, and we did really well. And so we just slowly built up from that. We got everything, I think when we did get the racks, we got everything like secondhand from like Facebook Marketplace and estate sales to one, save money and also stay true to our kind of mission.
Yeah.
So we grew really organically to I think like 8 racks by the end of the year. Yeah, and now when we pop up at Eastern, we like to try to pop up with 2 tents. So we've settled on kind of a rhythm that we like, at least for now. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what the future will bring? But yes, we definitely took it very slow and let it grow organically. I think through the year last year.
And so, you know, how many months roughly? I'm guessing about maybe 6 to 8 months between like when you first started with 2 racks to when you mentioned having like grown to 8 racks. Was that like a 6 or 8 month time period?
I feel like we got like I remember because we got I think 5 racks or like it was like 4 or 5 racks from this estate sale in Virginia from this woman. She was so cute about it. She was like, oh, my college son did a lot of research on these clothing racks. He didn't use the wheels, but he saved the wheels to give to sell. And we got, I think them for $20. We got like these 5 racks.
Really good.
So I was like, shout out to your son. And she was like, oh, I thought it was crazy to do all this research. And I was like, no, this is great. So I think it was still hot then. So I think it was like August. It might have been July. So not even 6 months, I think, between when we started and when we grew to kind of 2.0 to get a little larger. So, but yeah, we just kept finding more clothes. We needed more racks.
We need more racks. I feel like we also not struggled, but we got very excited about the potential of Unni's Closet. And I remember Anna and I would just always talk about hangers.
Yeah.
I don't know what hangers. Looking for hangers is just a lot of work.
So yes, like that is the racks and the hangers are the 2 most unromantic parts of the side hustle. It's just so hangers. I don't know if anyone's dealt with just when you move and you have to take all your hangers with you. They're so cumbersome.
No way. Yeah.
Yes, they don't pack neatly. You know, so just imagine doing your like your closet move like twice every day that we pop up because we have to like bring it all in and then bring it all out. And so.
Right.
Yeah,
did you guys find like a system where like you have a special bag or something for the racks and the hangers, or is it still just a pain?
Oh, it is a pain. We have found the racks, I think, because I hate the clanging so much, the clanging is just like constant nightmares. The last system that we've settled on is this sneaker. It's a box that I bought, bunch of sneakers came in. So it's like tall.
Oh, yeah.
Like sticking all the racks in that tall box, and that's
and then it just
for now. But it's still so cumbersome.
We do have a system for the racks because every time we have to build the racks to transport them from storage to the pop-up, and once we're at the pop-up, we have to build it actually. And I remember the first couple pop-ups that we did, we would spend at least like 20 minutes trying to figure out which part goes where, because all our racks are not unified. Like we were talking about, we like all thrifted them, so they're very unique in their own ways. Which,
it's like a puzzle every weekend.
Yes, And it would literally, like, there's three of us. It's Anna, me, and Fiona. Fiona's our third member of Unni's Closet.
Nice.
But we would just be like, do you have the short one? Do you have the long one?
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit. Like, it would be wonky after we put it
Right.
on. But yeah, our system was, Anna was very smart to come up with this. We put colored tapes on each joint. Joint of the rack. So then it's like color coordinated. We know exactly what style goes where. So now I feel like we could do it at least within 5 minutes, right?
Like,
yeah.
5,
Now,
10.
definitely now, yeah. But that was more like just because we hated it so much. It was just so much
still
of a
hate it.
mess. Yeah. It's still a mess. It's still a mess. It's slightly better, but it's
organized mess now.
It is. It is.
Yeah, and so you mentioned having a third partner. How did that? So Anna and Julie, did you guys chat and then you guys were like, we need to bring Fiona in, or was Fiona there also when you guys first started chatting about it?
Yeah. So shout out Fiona. She's my little sister. So actual sister. She and I are very close. So obviously Jules and I are very close, so all three of us are already pretty close. So I think Fiona, she has a much more demanding 9 to 5, so she was just down to help our passion project and just, she's, oh, this is fun. Let me know where I can help and blah, blah, blah. So she's not an owner per se, but she is in spirit for sure because we love her help.
Yeah,
Nice.
I would say she's our social media coordinator. Even from the start, we knew that we needed someone to be consistent with taking care of the social media side of Unni's Closet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think with the demanding job, she creates a lot of reels, contents for us as much as we can, since we can't do everything all at once.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then just to back up, for Unni's Closet, how did you guys come up with the name? And can you explain like the meaning behind the name and all of that good stuff?
I don't remember exactly when it happened. So if you do, Julie, do pitch in. But I think we're just all talking about different names. I'm sure we were pitching around a couple names and sleeping on it and then coming back another day and talking about some more names. But I think it came to our minds like just thinking about Fiona and I. And she, in Korean, so the Korean part of it is, in Korean, older sister is Unni. So my sister calls me Unni if you're ever around us, and she's like, Unni. It's because she's yelling at me. So kind of the concept is your sister's closet, Unni's Closet. So yeah, that's how I remember it coming about, Julie. I don't know if you have any additional details that you remember.
I mean, the meaning is definitely still holds true. I think it was the same time I was visiting when we started talking about the concept of popping up. We were in your kitchen coming up with different names. And then, I think we pitched the idea together.
Oh, it's so funny. I thought we slept on it.
I was like in your kitchen. I know, like when you're talking, I was like, I support you, but no.
Yeah, I was like, I thought we slept on it some, but yeah, we were just so creative.
On it after.
You guys are good.
In your kitchen. We wanted to create a name that wasn't too thick enough because I feel like Anna and I, we share styles. We have different styles, and we wanted to honor that. Maybe we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves stylistically. So we were thinking of what's different things that insinuate, oh, this is somewhere where you can shop different styles and different like clothing for different occasions. So then I think we thought about like the concept of shopping within your sister's closet. Like she might have something for an interview. She might have something for a girl's night out. She might have something for yoga. And obviously as a sister, you're going to take it. Well, I'm an only child, so I don't know it, but I can see the concept because I was actually tangent to my story. I was telling my dad about the concept. And he was like, should you call it mom's closet? Like mom's closet? I steal all my mom's clothes.
Oh,
and I'm
cute.
Like we're trying to target a specific audience. So
you're like, Dad, get with it.
Thanks, Dad.
It's not cute.
Yeah. Oh.
I think it just meshes well with what type of inventory we have and the audience that we're targeting. Yeah, I think it creates a lot of space for us to grow as well.
Yeah, and I love that you guys know your target market too, right? You're like 20s to 30s, right? These are kind of like hip, trendy clothes because
Mm-hmm.
the vintage stores that I have been around here, some of them you're like, ooh, even my grandma might
Mm-hmm.
be like, no.
Right, right.
Yeah,
And so I do think it's very tricky to find, especially for my friends who shop vintage, to find things that feel modern, right? Like have
yeah,
that vintage feel, but
for
like you
sure.
could really dress it up. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that you guys kind of know exactly the audience you're targeting. But so how did the marketing go? And I know you mentioned like Fiona helps a lot with the Instagram, like reels and posts. But how did you come up with a plan? And do you think that actually helped to kind of catapult the business?
I'll let you take that, Jules.
I, correct me if I'm wrong, Anna. I feel like we didn't really have a plan. I feel like we're like from the start, we're just really experimenting, like what works, what doesn't work, which was very helpful in the beginning. We would have weekly calls, especially like even after the pop up, just talking about what did we notice, what didn't work during the pop up, what
Mm,
should we be presenting. So just checking back in and just pivoting every time, I think was probably what solidified Unni's Closet to what it is
mm,
now. And going back to your question about marketing, I feel like I maybe had the idea of, oh, all these people are online, they're gonna find us, they're gonna love us. But really, I think most of our followers are very organically grown. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was mainly like when we pop up, every time we pop up, we at least have 15 to 30 followers because they're like, this is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I'm looking for, and now I can follow you guys. So, marketing wise, I think just presence,
mm,
just
mm.
Mm-hmm.
popping up and existing because there isn't in presence in, especially in DC. So, yeah, I feel like it was pretty organic and just
Mm-hmm.
pivoting as we go.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
it was just where are we gonna be when?
Right.
In the beginning, it was just like that's where we're gonna be, and then yeah, I think I mean we'd push it for sure. I think so that people like when we were popping up a lot at Eastern,
Mhm.
a lot of people live around there, and so they'd see us one week, and then we kind of went once every 2 to 3 weeks. That's how
Mhm.
frequently
Mm.
we'd pop up, and but not it wouldn't be so regular of a cadence. It would be whenever Jules and I and Fiona would be free.
Mm.
So then the next time we'd run into that resident, they'd be like, "I've been looking for you. Where have you been?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, maybe just follow us on Instagram because we're kind of
Yeah.
just sporadic about
Right.
when we pop up." So it's been really cute because we have been garnering the residents, like DC residents that have
Hmm.
followed us and expect to see us somewhere. And we'll come back and be like, "Oh, I wear that cardigan like all the time. People always ask me where I got it." And so that's
It's so
definitely what we're
cute.
going for.
Now, do you all do newsletter too, or is it mostly or only like Instagram where it's like, hey, if you want to know, like you got to be on the gram?
Mhm. Yep, nope, just on the gram. I mean, Julie has definitely brought those other ideas for the newsletters and things. I am just, let me just be honest, I'm just lazy. And I'm like, I think we're small. Let's just focus, put our effort on in one thing. But for sure, I think it wouldn't hurt to have a newsletter, especially we get people that are like, oh, do you guys have a site? And
Mhm.
probably every time we pop up, people are like, oh, where's your store? Is like, where, like, do you guys have a store? And we're like, you're standing in
Mhm.
our store. So it's
Right?
like, there's
You're
only
right.
so much we could do. But yeah,
But
even with the virtual, like selling things online, I'm just kind
oh
of like,
yeah,
I hate shipping.
yeah.
Just the
A lot.
shipping is just so not fun for me. And I do like the idea of being kind of a DC centered store.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm just lazy.
But I will say, I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
gonna
like,
put it out here. Just
mm,
collect at least email addresses,
I
right?
know.
Because I think
So
sometimes people think like newsletters have to be a lot, but I follow like even some DC newsletters, and really all I'm looking for is like where they're gonna be or what's going on, right?
Mhm.
So the
Right.
newsletter literally could be like once every 2-3 weeks, and it's like Unni's Closet, Easter Market, Sunday, be
right.
there. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Saturday,
for sure.
Sunday, and that's it.
No, for
Yep.
sure. I'm definitely, I think also I work in data privacy. So I'm like, I think when Julie brought up the concept of collecting the emails, I'm like,
You're like,
you want to be collecting PII? Like, So yes, I do. Maybe, we'll talk about this maybe in a year. Maybe we'll have the newsletter by then.
Coming soon.
Coming
I know.
soon.
Just
No
right. Just
problem.
collect the emails. You can always
Mhm.
throw them away or use them later, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And then just before we wrap up here too, for you guys, as you went to the first one and you're like, okay, we've got something here. We've invested, about $150 between the two of us, or more.
Mhm.
And of course, you decided to go back, I assume, because you're like, oh, shoot, people are like buying these clothes. Well, I
Mhm.
think we have something here. How did you
Mhm.
guys decide to like reinvest what you're making? And then have you gotten to the point where you're like, oh, I think we could pay each other a little something? Or is it still mostly all, no, we just want to spend it on like getting more clothes and then expanding our racks? What does that look like for you
Mhm.
guys?
I think we just kind of wanted to make more, see what else, like see where the stop is, like what
Mm.
would stop us where, whether I think in the beginning it was we were just using my car, so we would just limit it on space
Right.
with the car. So in the beginning we weren't filling up my car. So we were like, okay, well let's try to fill up the car, because that's kind of what we're using to get to market and bring all this stuff. We also saw other vendors. I think I can think of Ken, who is not on Instagram, so maybe that's a whole nother thing. And people expect
Grassroots.
him. Yeah, people expect him at market and look for him. He had 2 tents, and I remember being like, 2 tents, you could be that large. So I think it was like curiosity and just seeing where the line was at the stage we were currently in, just like where we would be limited by something, trying to find where that ceiling would be. Other than that, I think financially, our system was we had our items split up, and so we would divide the profits that way with other things like
Oh, yeah,
expenses
yeah.
and stuff mixed in. So then it would be kind of on Julie loves the sourcing just like a little bit more than I do. So she's free to spend as much as she wants sourcing and then buying her stuff and then selling her stuff. We didn't want to, I guess, take too much personal risk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very logical person. I'm like, let's just see how it goes. Like every time we pop up, let's just see. And I think it's just been like we said, like an organic growth and being risk averse. I think we're not risking anything by continuing what we're doing at least, and then taking a little bit more, taking a little bit more, taking a little bit more. So yeah, did I answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you guys have like financially kind of a way to divide things up, between each other, but then also a plan for reinvesting in the business, right? And so you kind of figure like, okay, we're going to need X amount of dollars for maybe paying whoever for gas, giving Julie money to go shopping for the
Exactly.
clothes and whatever. And then whatever's left is just like, you kind of split it up with whatever system that you have. And then it's like you're not trying to be like multi-millionaire vintage sellers right now, right?
No.
One step at a time.
Yes.
So you're just kind of like taking it, one step at a time. And then as it grows, then who knows, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because even if I look at food trucks, right, there are some food trucks that didn't realize that they were going to have a whole store in a Navy Yard. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And just to jump in, I think because Anna's very risk averse, I think that helps our business a lot because I like when I get excited about something, I like kind of overdo it. And I feel like Anna's a good anchor in the business to make sure that it makes sense for us. So yeah, I feel like, I don't know, the partnership definitely has been beneficial in both ways.
And do you take like a winter break?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We had our Georgetown pop-up for 5 weeks, and that was like a killer, just like
work.
physically. And shout out to all our friends and family that helped out because we definitely would not have survived it. And then after that, we took a winter break just because we were like, that was enough for a couple months.
Because I imagine, Georgetown, I mean, that's like, right? Students, that's
Yeah.
perfect
Oh,
demographic,
yeah. It
20
was
to
great.
30. I mean, they probably saw it and was like, oh my goodness, right? So it's kind of like nonstop talking to them about the
Yes.
pieces. And oh my goodness. I
Yes.
just imagine at the end of every day, you guys are like,
Yep.
like
We had no
literally
weekends.
physically and mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
for sure.
But
It
we
was
did
fun though.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It
It was very
achievement.
fun. Yeah, and our like our DC resident followers that they came up to the store, they were like, "Oh my gosh, there's a store!" It was nice. There was a lot of personal things that were probably milestones, not just for Unni's Closet, but for ourselves. So it was really fun. It was a lot of work. The cost was high, but going into that one, I remember thinking, Julie, I think we have to do this, but we will die. We will die there.
But it was worth it.
It was worth it,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'd do it again.
Nice. And then just a few wrap-up questions for you guys. How do you stay organized? Do you all have any tools, software, or techniques that you would want to share with the listeners?
Yeah, I can talk to our tools. We use Wave accounting software because it's free. And we'll see what our CPA says about it after tax season. What's it called? Wave. I guess we use
Square.
Yes, we definitely use Square. What else do we use? I don't know. I thought we were more high tech, but I guess.
Yeah, I think it's more Square and Wave.
Yeah, I think those are the two ones that we rely on for sure.
And then just inventory, do you all like need to track those pieces? Like, are there like, is it mostly like analog where it's tags, or is it like an Excel spreadsheet, or?
Oh, all of that, all of what you just mentioned. So we do have tags.
All of the above.
We did have a spreadsheet of like the individual items and categorizing in Square, just a lot of different things. And I think one thing that I appreciate the most about Julie and I working together is that we're both very flexible and we're okay with things changing kind of constantly.
Yeah.
So we've changed our system. The tools haven't changed all year, but how we're maneuvering ourselves around it, around inventory, around just like financials. Obviously we discuss things, we come to agreements, and that's shifted, especially with like the Georgetown pop-up when we needed to go through so much more inventory, so much more quickly. We needed to change that a little bit. So yeah, I think our strategy for the year was hunker down on the tools and then just change your system constantly to how you need it to work. Because you got to get those things paid. You gotta be able to send the city their tax and all the stuff underneath that.
I love what you guys are doing because there's not like a lot of, I guess, like overhead. Like you didn't have to go into debt or really borrow money to do this. And basically as you're making money, you're just putting it into the business. So it seems like you're always like in the green versus the red or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure. Yeah.
Which is it makes it easier and less stressful, right? So you can start and stop when you want to versus, oh, I need to keep going just so I could pay off my credit card that I use to buy whatever it is, right?
Right. No, we've been blessed with that for sure.
And then do you guys have any hobbies?
Like thrifting is our hobby. So it works well. Because it just goes back into the business.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of
outside of.
Yeah, I was fostering dogs for a hot second in the pandemic because I was like, I would like a creature, but I don't want one. I can't commit to one long term. Yeah. So that was fun and definitely eye-opening. And I became an annoying to Julie. I'd be like, okay, tell me when I've talked about this dog too much.
I would tell her.
Yes, because they definitely you become so obsessed with them. But I think I just pick up random ones. I think you too, Jules, like crocheting. I was like, I have like a half knit balaclava in my ottoman right now. That's not going to be finished before winter. Yeah, socks. I got into a sock thing.
Oh,
I think
really?
I get into I like to keep my hands busy. So I think I got into all the grandma stuff on your hands. Yeah, I'm not sure. But thrifting does take up a lot of our time, I think.
Yeah. For me, my toxic trait is thinking, I think Anna is too, but I think our toxic trait is thinking that we can make anything with like, like we can actually
do it.
Like, oh, I I could do that.
100%. During the pandemic, I really wanted a new coffee table, and the trend at that moment was like tiled coffee tables. I looked at that and I was like, I can make it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was definitely more money spent actually
just
doing it, the materials, the time, the everything, like going to IKEA, getting the coffee table, than just buying it like on a website. But yeah, I feel like
Do you
during the
still
pandemic.
have the coffee table?
Oh no, I sold it on Facebook, but I did get.
Wait,
Good
did
question.
you sell it at the market?
Not the market. Facebook Marketplace.
That would have been smart.
Yeah, I did that. I made like a foam mirror, like when that was
Oh
trendy.
yeah.
I almost poisoned myself because I had to do it inside. Like, we just learned. So yeah, I think we try to find small things to keep us entertained.
Fair. DIYing is the hobby.
Yes, DIYing is the hobby.
It is. But also, like, we like know our immigrant parents that unfortunately never had the space to have hobbies and do stuff for fun and not for the sake of having, because you need the money or,
Yeah.
So we probably definitely make an effort to do that. Oh, Julie, you were doing ceramics for like the first, first year of pandemic.
Yeah. So, currently on a break, but I should probably go back. That was fun.
Yeah.
The ones that you could like just bake in the oven, or were you doing like hardcore, real on the wheel? Okay.
I have a couple things. Oh, I have one right here. Oh my gosh. It's my lip balm holder at my work desk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She was making things.
You got the two-tone. It looks like maybe the speckle glaze going on.
Yeah.
I took one class at the Torpedo Factory. Most of my stuff came out lopsided, and I was like, this ain't for me.
Oh, it is hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
There's just so much intricacy that goes into it. Like, you can't press too hard. You can't press too light.
So last question for you guys. Please tell the listeners where they can find you.
On Instagram at Unni's Closet Vintage. That is currently the only place you can find us. So if you want to know where we're gonna be at, Unni's Closet Vintage, that's where we're at. We're a little purple avatar right now.
Yay. Well, thank you, ladies. I cannot wait to share this episode. I feel like if you haven't inspired someone to open their own business, you've at least inspired them to start thrifting.
Yes.
And so appreciate you guys coming on and telling your story.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is fun.
Oh my goodness. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Anna and Julie. I know I did. It's so inspirational. And I love how businesses start very organically. And I am so curious to see what they end up doing in the next year or two and how it grows and morphs. And yeah, I'm really, really excited for them. Remember, anything they mentioned, I have it linked on the show notes page at nachesnow.com/166. Technology-wise, I'm glad everything worked out because I think this was, my first time interviewing two people at the same time. If you're looking at this on YouTube, it worked out because it split the screen perfectly. So as a tech nerd, I was really, really excited about that. But anywho, make sure you guys go over and support Unni's Closet. If you're in the DC area, they should be starting back soon. So if you follow their Instagram, you won't miss an event. They are just fabulous and such an inspiration. So glad I was able to share their story with you. So if you guys also don't want to miss an episode, besides subscribing, of course, you guys can go over and subscribe to my newsletter, nachesnow.com/newsletter. I give out productivity tips. I let you know when the latest episode is coming out. So please go ahead and subscribe to the newsletter. It'll also let you know if I have any new templates coming out. Like I'm working on a Notion one right now. So please subscribe to the newsletter. And also, if you love this episode, my friends, head on over to Apple Podcasts and give me 5 stars. That goes a long way. It helps people find Studio 78 Podcast and helps other women just like you get inspired by other amazing, extraordinary women. If you're on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up. And wherever you're listening, please subscribe, my friends. Until next week, I will see you guys later. Take care. Bye.